Okay, so I have 1 o'clock and I don't want to delay because people who are here, which is great. Um, so I think what the group at Queen's have planned to do is to keep their video on just through the introductions and then they'll shut it off and just focus on the presentation. But I also did want to say that you've all popped into the chat window and that's where you can pop some questions in as they're going along, just because we'll circle back to it after they're finished, and I'll keep tabs on what folks are asking. But feel free to wait till the end and just use your microphone and ask. That'd be good too. Yeah. So thanks. I'm Joanne, and I work at eCampus Ontario, and I'm part of the IDIG group, which is the Instructional Design Interest Group. And there's some working group members here, which are great. And we're just looking. I'll put a link into the chat, but on idigontario.ca is our website. We're just trying to cultivate a community of practice across the province for instructional designers and get some networking going, some collaboration, and offer some PD opportunities. So one of those is through webinars, and we'll also have other events and either face-to-face or online, and just the website and our Twitter account will have the most up-to-date info on that. So I encourage you to check it out and join us. We're fun. We're friendly. So thank you to Brittany, Leah, and Kyle for coming today. I'm going to introduce all of you. And Brittany McRae is an instructional designer with Faculty of Engineering at Queen's, Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science, and the Teaching and Learning team at Queen's. And over the last decade, she has worked in education in various roles, including K-12 teaching and program development, professor of communications, and as faculty and ed tech support. And in her current role, she's providing pedagogical support to faculty and subject matter experts around course design and development projects, and specifically in the areas of improving constructive alignment, writing learning outcomes, designing assessments, and integrating learning technologies in online, blended, and face-to-face delivery models. That's what all IDs strive to do, improve those areas. So Brittany received her BEd from the University of Alberta and also has a Master's of Arts in Educational Leadership and Management and an International Baccalaureate Certificate in Teaching and Learning from Royal Roads University. Oh, I want to hear more about that program. I've heard about it. It's supposed to be pretty good. So she's currently completing a post-baccalaureate diploma of instructional design from Athabasca. So that's Brittany. Brittany, you want to wave? Or did you already? Sorry, I had my notes in front of me. Great, okay. And then we have Leah next to her, who is also an ID from the Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science, engineering, teaching, and learning team at Queen's. And before coming to Queen's, Leah worked as an ID at the Royal Military College of Canada. In her role, she provides pedagogical support for course design, manages course development and redesign projects, and provides one-on-one support for on-site instructors. Great. And Leah has also been an active member of the ePortfolio community of practice at Queen's. And Leah has, her educational background is a BEd from McGill and MEd from Queen's, and is wrapping up a post-baccalaureate diploma of ID from Athabasca. Oh, great. You both can kind of bounce the curriculum off each other, graduate together. All right. And last but not least, they have Kyle. Hi, Kyle. Thanks so much for taking the time out. And Kyle Ross is a student at Queen's, and he holds a Bachelor of Science in Engineering Chemistry, and is currently working on his dual degree in Computer Science. So busy. And he has worked for almost 2 years as a course design and development specialist with the engineering, teaching, and learning team. So this is a great perspective. And he's given the students perspective on what improvements can and should be made when designing online and blended courses. So thanks to all of you. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and unmute your mic and start sharing your screen, and we can get going.
Thank you, Joanne. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop our video and then share our screen. Just bear with me 1 second. Need to get to the right slide. Okay, wonderful. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. As Joanne mentioned, we're here to talk to you about today about our inclusion of students on course development teams and the benefits of this approach. As Joanne highlighted, you may have seen this presentation at TESS. However, we decided to change it up a little bit for this presentation and have added in some further explanation and example videos as well. And we're also excited to have Kyle here with us. So that's pretty fun too. So we're going to show a few videos throughout the presentation. We hope that the technology cooperates, but bear with us. If it doesn't, we have provided a link at the end of the presentation with a full sample of all the videos that we're showing here today. So before we can talk about our approach, we need to go back a little bit and introduce how this idea evolved. In 2015, we asked a graduate student, Hishan, who you see on the screen there, to join a course development team that was working on Mine 472, which is a course on mining systems, automation, and robotics. We weren't really sure what his role would be on the project, but we thought that his ideas would be really valuable during the planning phases of the project. During one of the course development meetings, we were all talking about the content and how it would be really nice to show some of the concepts for each module in a different format than the traditional voiceover PowerPoint presentations that were being developed by the course author. So we're all chatting about this. All of a sudden, Hishan piped up and he said, we need to have some sort of reality check for students so that they really can see how the concepts can be applied in a real life setting, which is really important for this course. And so began, oh, sorry, my slides are all, okay. And so began the evolution of reality check videos with Hishan. So it's a video series that was featured throughout the course to help learners establish a connection between the theory and practice. So Hishan planned, scripted, and helped produce the entire video series for the course. They feature a mix of concepts and the use of equipment to demonstrate those concepts. So we're going to just take a moment here and look at a little video series of video clips from his reality check series that he's developed. So it's only a few seconds, so we'll just take a quick look. Again, if it doesn't work, we have a link for you at the end.
Hey everyone, it's time for another reality check. Today I'm going to be showing you some examples of sensors that you'd find on a mining robotic truck. Welcome back to another reality check. Today, let's take a look at an important type of exteroceptive sensors, range sensors. For example, let's take a look at our LHD model. Now, this model relates the rates of change of the states, which are X, Y, theta, and phi. And then this is a proximity sensor. So as the cogs rotate around the wheel, the proximity sensor picks up the cogs. And by knowing the number of cogs that are on the encoder, we can figure out the velocity.
Okay, so as you can see from that video example, we had a lot of experience and success with Hishan's project, and it really got us thinking about other possibilities. So we dug into the research. We found that using a collaborative team-based approach to course design has been widely documented as an effective method. However, the tale we're telling you today is about our adaptation to this documented model through the addition of students as core members of these course development teams. So students actively participate in the design of the course. They participate in all meetings and assist in approving the new or revised course structure, including contributing ideas for improving the constructive alignment of the course, formulating learning outcomes, designing assessments, and brainstorming the design of ideal learning objects to meet course goals. After contributing to the design, students then go on to work one-on-one with the media team where they help to create learning objects for the course. So sometimes this means them filming on and off campus, editing videos, or providing technical support for instructors. It's very valuable to have students involved as they are creative and can shed light on the anticipated use of the multimedia objects from a student perspective, as well as someone who's knowledgeable of the design of the course. Other times, it means them acting as the instructor to personally plan and develop the content where they're delivering the instruction. So student instructors are able to take the concept the instructor is teaching and explain them in more user-friendly, relatable language. Let's take a look at two of these. Oh, we'll just pause here and keep going. There. Okay, so we're gonna fast forward here to 2018. Meet Maudie, Marianne, Polly, Peter, Russell, Tansha, Bryce, and Kyle. So these are just a few of the many students that have worked with us on course development projects. They are a mixture of postgraduate and undergraduate students and are from a variety of engineering disciplines.
So let's take a quick peek at another one of the student examples. So in the example we're about to show, we're going to feature Bryce, who was actually a student in Hashan's course, and he was really inspired by those reality check videos from Mind 472. So when we were working on his project, he chose to develop a very similar video series. So let's just take a quick peek at what this looks like. I'm not going to show the whole video because it's quite long.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another reality check. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more about drag and also a little bit about lift as it pertains to immersed bodies. We are going to talk about applications where effects of drag and lift are important, and also what tools we can use to analyze drag and real-world design of road vehicles. We will also be talking to the Queen's Formula SAE design team about how they manipulate lift and drag in the design of track racing cars. Recall the drag equation. Drag force is equal to 1/2 multiplied by density of the fluid, velocity squared, drag coefficient, and frontal area. Regarding changes to the geometry of the body, frontal area and drag coefficients are the two variables that you have to work with. Frontal area is straightforward.
I'm just going to jump ahead here a little bit so that you can see hopefully him in a different, there we go.
Turning speed will decrease. Some sports cars will actually implement geometry, such as spoilers, to produce a negative lift coefficient. Negative lift, referred to as downforce, allows a car to make...
So again, we've provided this full video for you at the end if you're really interested in hearing more about cars and whatnot. But as you can see, it's a really nice combination of integrating the theory with actual examples that they might see in real life. So in a different video series, this one features Peter, and he decided to create a series of videos that support incoming first-year students by working on foundational math skills. So what he does is it features him just at a whiteboard, and he's working through concepts, and students get a good sense of how these concepts, a nice refresher before they actually come into the program. It also gives them an opportunity to develop some habits of what it might be like to learn in an online environment, which they might see throughout their degree.
Okay, so this is a different video series. This is Russell, and he starred in MNTC 313 Intro to Programming. In this course, 3 programming languages were taught, one of them by the instructor and 2 others by students. And in this video, Russell is explaining the learning outcomes for his video on Excel VBA. We're not going to show you this video right now, but it is in the thing link for you to view later if you'd like. So this video series is very unique. This is also from MNTC 313 Intro to Programming, and it was inspired by the FabFitFun unboxing trend that we see on YouTube and Facebook right now. So the students received a box containing equipment called an Arduino that they needed for the course, and Tancha went through the box and all of its components to help students make sense of what was contained in it so that they could not be confused by the mass amount of parts that they saw when they opened that box. So in this artifact, so we've got Kyle here, and we're going to show you this video. Kyle is visually explaining the concept of electron configuration for MNTC P06 Foundational Chemistry. So Kyle produced many similar instructional videos, and they are featured throughout this course, and they are in complement to the main instructional videos that were developed by the course author.
So today we're going to talk about electron configuration. And electrons are arranged outside of an atom in an element. And the electrons are arranged in a couple of ways. They're arranged in orbitals, and they're arranged in shells. Now the orbitals are denoted by the principal quantum number n. And n takes the values of 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. It just takes numbers.
Okay, I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit so you get a sense of what the video looks like.
That you have actually written the correct electron configuration for your element. So now we'll talk about the D block and the F block. To get the principal quantum number of the D block and the F block shell, you can't use the row of the periodic table. It's not the same. So when you're using the D shell, the principal quantum number is equal to the row.
So that gives you a sense about what it actually looks like.
So
Okay, so those were just a few of the many examples that we have collected over the last few years from student-developed resources for courses. We could chat about this forever, and you're going to get a good chance to see all of those videos in full detail at the end of the presentation. But let's take a moment to just talk about the benefits of this approach. So from a course author perspective, having extra hands and ideas in the development is key to moving projects along on time, which we know is a huge problem in the world of instructional design. Course authors can lose sight of student needs very easily, so having that student involved offers that constant perspective. And as we all know, students are a really valuable resource and source of creative and innovative ideas that really contribute to presenting the course instruction in unique and effective ways. In an article from 2004, Bodicher suggested that it takes faculty members or course authors about 10 hours per hour of instruction as time commitment, which we all know makes this any course development a very significant challenge. So having those extra hands and ideas in development is really key to moving projects on time. It also helps to alleviate financial constraints as, sorry Kyle, students are paid a lot less than faculty members.
So a collaborative approach to course design allows for a more nuanced understanding of the relationship between technology, content, and pedagogy. The interplay between these three elements are integral to the success of an online course through careful consideration of how each element impacts learning. So any change in one element requires an adjustment, a thoughtful adjustment of the others.
So now we're just going to look at the student instructor perspective. But first, I just want to give you a little bit more background on myself so that you understand where I'm coming from when I talk about these things. With my work as a course design and development specialist with the teaching and learning team, I had the opportunity to be a content contributor for several online courses. With these roles, I've had the opportunity to teach students directly, albeit in an online setting. Student instructors, myself included, have reported several benefits from having these positions. The benefits include that it offers students an opportunity to influence what content is taught and how it's taught. It gives students the opportunity to reinforce concepts and solidifies knowledge for themselves. It offers students a new experience and builds unique skills, and improves their confidence in their communication skills immensely. As well, it provides benefits for student learners as well as the student instructors. So student jobs within course design and teaching provide a unique opportunity for students. All students have some level of experience with how course material is taught within the university setting. They've all taken classes before. Some of these students may feel disheartened by some parts of their educational experiences. I know I was. Or they might have new ideas about improvements to the traditional way in which content is delivered. These students are eager to have their ideas heard and, if possible, put into practice. Jobs in the course design and delivery process give the students a way to impact not only their education, but the education of other students. These opportunities allow students to make real changes which they're able to observe the impact of. These students are a unique, untapped market of creativity for course design, and even more beneficial because their employment can be partially subsidized, unfortunately. So the student instructor role can have an educational benefit for not only the student learner, but also for the student instructor. I, along with other student instructors, have found that teaching the content to other students increases not only the student's understanding, but our understanding of the content. And that allows us to connect the theory of what we are actually being taught with examples of how it's being used. As an instructor, it's important to break down the information that you want to convey to the students. In doing so, you break it down into what's kind of the core concepts. They're the most fundamental for the student's understanding and your own understanding. The exercise of determining what is fundamental can allow student instructors to further master these concepts and to deepen their understanding of the topic. In some cases, the student instructor may be trying to teach a concept that they have long since forgotten. An example of this for myself was the electron configuration video that you just saw. It had been many years since I had learned that content, and I had completely forgotten it by the time I had to teach it. However, this time when relearning the content, I truly trying to understand the core concepts and how I would teach it to another person, I retained the information much more clearly, and then I was able to teach the content. One of the biggest problems with teaching a student comes from communicating your own thoughts clearly and concisely in a way that can be understood by other people and not just yourself. Being a student instructor gives the opportunity to really evaluate the way in which you yourself communicate your ideas, or in this case, course material, to someone else. It gives a unique opportunity to experiment with ways to communicate and gives frequent opportunities to practice your communication skills, which you might not get in other jobs. This not only improves the communication skills, but improves your confidence level in communicating. These skills are beneficial not only for the workplace, but also for students interested in graduate school. And then lastly, I want to look at it a little bit from the perspective of the learner as well. So student instructors have more practice actually using the course material within industry or even just in future courses in upper years. This allows them to better connect the theory with practice, allowing for student learners to feel that content being taught is worthwhile and worth learning. We surveyed those who took courses that had student instructors on the course development team, and they report that student developed content provides more context and insight between the theory and the actual practice in the real world. Furthermore, the content is unique and engaging, breaking up the traditional form of content delivery.
Great, thanks, Kyle. So here you can see that we have provided you with the Thing link where you can access some full-length samples of our student-created learning objects for you to view at your own convenience. This is a clickable link, and we'll also share it in the chat bar so you can view it at your own convenience.
So although our application of this approach is still fairly new, we've shown that the inclusion of students in course development projects is very advantageous. In fact, they're able to move beyond just content design and development and actually exercise their skills as an instructor, which is really quite significant. So moving forward, we're hoping to continue to collect data from all stakeholders. We really want to make sure that this is an effective way forward. We want to encourage you out there to consider this approach for your course development, and we'd like to brainstorm some ideas of some new methods for how we can get students involved and keep this moving. So I've put up our contact information, and it's also, our contact information is also on that Thing link. So I'm going to go ahead and just exit out of this so that we can post that link for you. So I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to turn on our video. And there is the Thing link in the chat there. So if anybody has any questions, I guess now would be a good time to chat.
Great, thank you so much. Oh, Jenny has a question. Do you want to just say it, Jenny? Or?
So,
hi, yes, I could. So I'm asking about the assets, the student-created assets. Who owns them? Are they shareable with other schools? Are they Creative Commons license, or are they embedded in your learning management system?
we have a little bit of everything, I would say. Mostly the assets stay with the course. However, we're pretty open with that. So if a student's pretty proud of what they've done, then we want to make sure that they can use it for, to keep it and retain a copy of it for their professional development as well. I think we have done one video series that was a Creative Commons license. That would have been Bryce's videos that you saw. And, the student was very happy to participate in that. And the instructors were as well. So we've kind of done a little bit of everything. It just depends on the course.
I have a question. So as far as selecting the students, is there a call for applications, or do people self-identify?
Yeah, so typically we use work study or the summer work experience program. So the students are demonstrating a financial need in the work study program, and the summer program, they're looking for employment for the 4 months out of the summer, and they get brought into a pool, and the jobs get posted and approved on our sides for whether we've demonstrated a need for students as well. And then it's actually an interview process where the students it's quite selective. We get lots of applicants, and so they could either work in somewhere, on campus, working in coffee shop or in a gym or somewhere like that, or they could work with us. So it really depends on what kind of employment the students are looking for, and they do get to actually apply for our positions.
That's great. So yeah, I was wondering too where the funding came from. So it is a work study.
Mm-hmm. We've also had a few students work with us on projects that were funded through our in-house course enhancement grants that we've got going on. In that case, we would work with the course author and say, do you have anyone that might be a good fit for this project? And then we can use some of those funds to hire that student as almost a research assistant to work on the project with us.
Yeah. I know for all of our, and my role at McMaster for the eCampus Ontario grant proposal, we would always include a budget item for student partners. So it's definitely made a difference in our course design plans and similar kind of learning coming out of that. Does anyone else have any questions, or I can ask another. I have another one. So I'm just wondering about who, like, you kind of just outlined how you pick the students, but how do you pick the courses? Do faculty apply that they want their course to have this?
Yeah, that's sort of more or less how it is. We want them to be motivated to make these changes. So it's certainly not a forced thing. So in-house, we do have a course enhancement grant program where instructors can identify that they are, keen to work on it. We help them write a proposal, and then we help follow through on the project. So it's a really supported process. But we certainly, it just depends on the program and how everything came out, but that's how they get selected. Now, sometimes students are assigned to a specific course or project that we're working on, and sometimes we also have students that just work with us certain days of the week, and they work on whatever projects we have going on at that time. So we often try to identify what are the priorities for that week, and always try to keep in mind what might be their interests, and try to align their work with what they're keen on looking at. So more or less, there's some variety, and we try to match things with their interests as much as we can.
Yeah, that makes sense. I always think it's great too, from an instructional designer or course developer perspective, to have someone on the team other than the subject matter expert that is their disciplinary area. Because lots of times we're working, I can't remember, one of you had the arts kind of background. So
Yeah.
When you get involved in doing courses, developing courses outside of your area of comfort, it's great to have that.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing, is that the students, even if it's not maybe their main discipline, there's still a lot of really valuable information that you can learn from having a student on the team, that's for sure. So definitely think outside the box, and challenge that interview process, and see who's keen to try out this sort of thing and really motivated to get involved in course design. There's certainly lots of students out there keen on getting involved.
Yeah, that's great. I don't want to hog, but does anyone else have any other questions? Or I just wondered if others had similar experiences at their institutions that have some sort of student partnership program. Great talk. Yeah, Eric gave us a thumbs up.
Hi, Joanna. It's Jenny. I have another question. I'm curious to know what kind of resources you have at your disposal for making videos, editing videos. Like, as soon as you go outside to shoot a video, I think you're starting to look at a lot of resources. Was it very student driven? Were they doing a lot of that work, or do you have a team at Queen's that's helping with that?
Yeah, so we're part of the engineering, teaching, and learning team. So there are 3 instructional designers right now, and currently 2 multimedia experts, a course design development specialist, and a number of students. So our media team does have a lot of resources that they are able to assist us with. So they help the students with the media. They do train them on the media. So there are a lot of times that the students are actually capable of doing all of these filming exercises themselves. I know Kyle goes out and films for us, and he's not a multimedia expert per se, but he has been trained enough that he knows exactly what to do with the cameras, how to produce them after he's done that filming, as well as put any post-production effects in and help us get those into our learning management systems. So we do have the support, but we do try and impart all that knowledge into these students so that they can take that away as part of their experience and bring that into another professional setting.
That's great. Thanks, Jenny, for asking. Yeah, I noticed the light board. That's so cool. I mean, that must be kind of an interesting thing for the students to be working with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The eyes kind of light up when they see it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You built that yourselves, right? Am I remembering right? Yeah.
Bryce, who you saw in one of those reality check videos, that was sort of part of his summer project the year he worked with us to figure out how to build it. So we, equipped him with all the specs, and he went off, and then we rolled it up to our building, and it was a pretty exciting day when it came in.
Yeah.
Get a lot of interest in that from faculty and around campus. We certainly have other people keen to try it out as well.
Yeah, yeah. That could be a future webinar, all the light boards that are being built across.
Well, it's right beside. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wow. Hey, yeah, we should do a webinar with using the light board.
In the room.
It'd be pretty cool. Does anyone else have any questions? I think if you do, just jump in, and otherwise I'll just thank you all. Thank you for this presentation. It was really great. It was great sitting through it at TESS, and now that I've got a little bit more detail, I really like your approach. It's a great a model for others to kind of follow, and involving learners in that process. And speaking of involving learners, how's that segue to my colleague Terry Green is here, and I just wanted to invite him to talk a little bit about how he's involving learners in talking about their experiences within teaching and learning. So Terry, do you want to?
That was a nice segue. Good job.
Yeah.
I will share it. It's called the Open Learner Patchbook. Actually, there we go. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so last year at Fleming, we started a thing called the Open Faculty Patchbook, which was faculty writing about how they do their teaching in kind of picking a skill and putting it all together to cover, most of how to teach. Not everything, obviously, but enough to be sort of a manual on how to teach college. So now we've started kind of the mirror image of that for learners. So we've got a list of skills, learning skills and things students have to figure out how to do. And we're getting students themselves to write about them. So they'll be collected in a patchwork, a community quilt of learning. And so just today we got our third one. There's actually a fourth ready to come out tomorrow as well. It's 3-1 so far, US to Canada. So we need to catch up. I know there's a few more coming out of Cambrian in a month or two. And anyway, the gist is you pick a learning skill and write about how your take on it. It's not saying it's the greatest take, it's their take, and it's kind of personal stories about how people do their learning. So that's the gist of it. If you have any questions, I will find the stop sharing thing. There it is. That was kind of short and sweet and less prepared than everyone else today, but that's the gist of it.
Well, that's good. And I was actually, your part reminded me about, from the Queen's perspective, do the students that are involved in your consultant process do some sort of reflection? Like, is there something kind of that they've been kind of writing about their experiences along the way, or perhaps it could be popped into the patchbook?
That'd be awesome. There's a question, how does one get involved? Just contact me. I'll put my email or Twitter in here. I have caps lock on. I didn't mean to yell.
Yeah, I know I put the link into the McMaster Student Consultant Partnership. That's one of the programs they have at their Teaching and Learning Center. Part of the requirement is to do some sort of reflection. So
the only thing is that we're trying to focus on one skill at a time. Yeah. So that the Queen students could write about the experience, generally, of being involved in that. But the ones we have so far are just about the writing process or taking control of your pathway. And the other one is about academic integrity so far. Yeah.
How to teach peers. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's a good one. Yeah.
I can't wait for one about some salacious group project stories coming out. Looking forward to that.
We all have those. Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Terry. And I will follow up with a note to everyone who registered for the webinar with not only the links that were posted in the chat window, but contact information. I'm sure all of you are open to being contacted if there's some follow-up questions.
I'm going to just put a link to one specific post on there, which is the kind of place to pick a topic and information on how to get involved there. So
Great. Thank you. Okay, so we we weren't sure whether to have this webinar go 30 minutes or 45. 30 minutes seems to be kind of popular now for webinars because we're all running out of time in our work days. So we can close unless someone else has any other questions. If not, thank you all very much for your time and your work in putting together your presentation, especially you, Terry. I can tell that took a long time. But no, I appreciate it, and I appreciate y'all attending. So have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you. Thank you so much.